In 2003, a death row inmate named Marcus Wright at the Longview Correctional Facility in Texas meets with Representative Dr. Serena Kogan from Cyberdyne Systems Genetics Division to donate his organs and tissue for what she believes will be a noble cause, the future of humanity. He agrees to do so in exchange for a kiss. Afterward, he is put to death by lethal injection. The last image he sees is Dr. Kogan standing over him. Early in the 21st century, Skynet, a military defense program, became self-aware. Viewing humanity as a threat to its existence, Skynet decided to strike first. The survivors of the nuclear fire called the event Judgment Day. They lived only to face a nightmare, the war against the machines. To hunt down and eradicate humans, Skynet built Terminators. As the war rages on, leaders of the human resistance grow desperate. Some believe one man holds the key to salvation. Others believe he is a false prophet. His name is John Connor. In 2018, John Connor participates in a major resistance assault against Skynet VLA network in order to obtain classified data vital to the machines and rescue the prisoners there. Connor would leave after having infiltrated the base to try to rescue several prisoners being taken by a Skynet transport. However, he discovers the blueprints for a new enemy to the resistance, the Series 800 Terminator, which should be produced in the year 2026. This would be his salvation as the base explodes moments after he leaves due to a Skynet booby trap. Unfortunately, he is the only apparent survivor of the attack. John is picked up a short time afterward and requests to be taken to Resistance headquarters. He is denied an audience with the Resistance leaders, but jumps out of the chopper and swims down to the Resistance headquarters, which is located on a submarine. After his arrival, he is denied entry, but forces his way in. While there, he meets with General Ashdown and tells him what he'd found, and that Skynet was more advanced than it should be. The leaders are unhappy with him, but tell him they have discovered a hidden frequency that could potentially shut down Skynet for good. They know the machines use shortwave transmitters to communicate, so the signal allows for direct control of the machines. Ashdown states that Skynet's a machine, and like all machines, it has an off switch. Furthermore, he informs John that they haven't field tested it yet. John volunteers to test the signal on progressively more advanced machines. The Resistance has also intercepted a transmission from Skynet, a kill list warning that all the Resistance leaders will be dead in 4 days. John himself is second on the list, with Kyle Reese as their #1 target. Later, John listens to a tape recording from his mother, Sarah Connor. In the recording, Sarah says that what's most difficult is trying to decide what to tell him and what not to. She speaks about his father, Kyle Reese, who she says will be younger than him, only a teenager when John meets him. John plans to start testing the signal with something small they're familiar with, like a Hydrobot. In the meantime, Marcus wakes up 15 years after his execution, dazed and confused at his surroundings. After taking clothes from a dead Resistance fighter, Marcus makes his way through the desert and into Los Angeles, only to discover the city is in the ruins, and the only human survivors there are a young Kyle Reese and his young, silent companion, Star. After rescuing Marcus from the onslaught of a T-600, Kyle holds him at gunpoint and tells him to take off the jacket Marcus is wearing, stating it stands for blood and that it's a symbol of the Resistance. However, Marcus manages to reverse Kyle's gun at him and asks what is going on, as he is still confused by what he witnessed. Kyle says the year is 2018 and explains how the Judgment Day happened as he knows it, and that he is working to become a full-fledged Resistance member. So far though, Kyle and Star haven't had much luck finding others to join their branch. Marcus, determined to help, fixes an old shortwave radio, which by chance picks up a broadcast from John Connor, whose daily broadcasts are secretly focused on finding Kyle, his future father, as well as giving hope and providing advice on how to fight Skynet's forces to the Resistance and human survivors around the world. John states that the machines are advancing even faster than he thought they would, that they're inventing new Terminators, new ways of killing them. Lastly, he says Skynet is planning something big, but the Resistance is planning something bigger. Marcus fixes a broken down car, and as he's about to leave, a scout for the Terminators approaches them. So they all get in the car and drive off to make an escape. Soon after, Marcus manages to take down the scout, and they successfully get away. As Marcus and Kyle leave the city behind to meet John Connor, they encounter a 7-11 housing humans who, instead of actively sabotaging Skynet activity, keep their heads down to avoid attracting the attention of the machines. They deny gasoline at first, but an old woman, apparently the leader, asks them to stay, offering something to eat. During this, the 7-11 suddenly comes under attack by a harvester, taking several prisoners, including the old woman. The trio get in a truck and place a gasoline tank near the harvester. After causing a huge explosion and thinking they won, the harvester comes out of the fire unharmed. It sends out Autobots that begin to follow the trio. Though the three take down the Autobots and try to escape, Kyle and Star are still captured eventually. Marcus attempts to follow, but is knocked off by the harvester on the transport. Meanwhile, Connor and his lieutenants, including his right-hand man, Barnes, and his second-in-command and wife, Kate Connor, have never heard of Skynet taking human prisoners, and he is determined to discover the reason. They pick up machine activity in the Los Angeles basin and dispatch 2 A-10 Warthogs to intercept the hunter-killers trying to escape the area. However, 2 attackers are shot down by the machines. Blair Williams, one of the pilots, successfully ejects just before exploding. Concurrently, Marcus wakes up on the edge of the river, and as he walks aimlessly, sees Blair with her parachute stuck in a transmission tower. Marcus goes over and helps Blair get down safely. When Marcus tries to leaving, wanting to chase after the machine transport, Blair tells him it's suicide. She asks him to come with her to their base where he can meet the man he's been looking for, John Connor. Marcus agrees, and the two start their journey. On a rainy night, Blair sends Marcus to find something they can make a fire of. Shortly after, Blair is attacked by some human survivors who don't care about the resistance. She manages to take some of them down, but is eventually overpowered due to their numbers. Thankfully, Marcus shows up just in time before they could hurt her and beats them up one by one. Meanwhile, John and Barnes are out in a field to test out the signal on a more advanced machine, and it ends up being successful. They inform General Ashdown the signal works, which after the general states that the attack will commence the next day, and orders John's unit to be in support of the bombing of Skynet Central. John inquires about the extraction plan for the human prisoners, but Ashdown says there is no extraction plan. This is war and leadership has its costs. Blair and Marcus bond over a 2-night trip back to her base, in which, after detonating a magnetized mine, Marcus is revealed to be of a machine. His brain and heart are the only organs left, thought to be the prototype for infiltration terminators like the T-800. Blair, unable to accept that Marcus is part of Skynet, releases him, after which the Resistance chases them down, with Blair being captured to allow Marcus to escape. Connor chases after him in a Black Hawk, but suddenly gets brought down into a river by Hydrobots. Before Connor is killed by a swarm of Hydrobots, Marcus saves him. Connor makes a deal, and with his permission, allows him to enter the heart of Skynet Central, in exchange to get Connor into the base so he can free Kyle. Marcus makes his way to Skynet and shuts down the turrets guarding a huge wall, and Connor is able to enter the facility. While Marcus is deactivating the security, his machine circuitry syncs with the Skynet mainframe and causes him to black out. When he comes back to consciousness, he is completely repaired, and Skynet, taking on the appearance of Dr. Serena Kogan, reveals his true purpose. Skynet tells him that he is only a Trojan horse of sorts, whose intent was to identify Connor and Reese and lure them into Skynet, where they could be killed. With his mission fulfilled, Skynet expects him to accept he is now a machine and will continue fighting alongside Skynet. Choosing to be a human, Marcus rips out his main chip and helps Connor locate Kyle. Skynet warns that fighting is useless and that he cannot save John and Kyle. Marcus snarls, "Watch me," before smashing Skynet's monitor, escaping the chamber. Meanwhile, General Ashdown and the other Resistance leaders discover that the signal they had implemented to destroy Skynet was really a location beacon. An HK aerial tracks the sub in which they are in and drops a depth charge, destroying it. While John is searching for Kyle Reese at Skynet Central, he discovers a TRIP with the mission to kill John Connor and Kyle Reese above all, and chases them throughout the Terminator factory beneath the complex. Kyle is captured by a T-600 but escapes by jamming a rod into the Terminator's motor cortex before it can kill him. As the T-Rip enters the room in pursuit of John and Kyle, it easily destroys the damaged T-600, blocking its path. John fires several Hellhound 40mm grenades at the T-Rip, slowing its pursuit and burning off its flesh covering. They escape by blowing a hole in a nearby wall. The T-Rip catches up with John and a fight ensues, but their battle is interrupted when Marcus intervenes, allowing John to get Kyle to safety. The T-Rip battles Marcus in single combat, with neither gaining a distinct advantage. However, Marcus is defeated by the T-Rippy, who discovers that his human heart is vulnerable and delivers a devastating blow to his chest. Marcus collapses and the T-Rippy resumes its chase of Connor. John fires a grenade at a vat of molten metal, which pours out over the T-Rip. Because the molten metal can't stop the machine, John then fires at a coolant line with his pistol, which freezes the T-Rip solid. John then tries to revive Marcus with a few solid thumps to his chest. When this fails, he rips away electrical conduits and shocks Marcus several times to bring him back to life. However, this gives the T-Rip time to break free and, while he is distracted, impales John through the chest with a steel bar. Marcus, breaking the steel bar and ramming it through the neck of the T-Rip and decapitating it with ease. He carries John to a waiting helicopter, where Kate and Barnes have assembled an evac force for the human survivors. Then Starr offers Connor the detonation controller. Once they are airlifted from the blast site, Connor detonates the detonating cord that he had previously wrapped around several nuclear fuel cells in the Terminator factory and destroys the Skynet Central before falling unconscious due to the mortal wound to his heart from the T-Rip. In a base camp, Marcus resolves to give up his heart to save John. He explains to Blair and Kyle that everyone deserves a second chance on life, including Connor. Marcus and Blair share a kiss before he undergoes the heart transplant. When Connor wakes up, he is on a helicopter flying towards the horizon along with a fleet of Bell UH-1 Huey helicopters. The movie ends with John quoting his mother, saying, "There is no fate but what we make." He warns the Resistance and other survivors across the world that while they have won this battle, the war is by no means over. Skynet's forces still remain strong, and humanity has a long way to go before it achieves ultimate victory over the machines.